So how did it go creating your first script? Were you able to create a document? Now let's extend on what we did earlier, and we saw that we set it variable doc, and this is going to actually create the document object. So this is the line of code that creates it, but we're storing it with an object called doc. So that means that we can also access this object and do some stuff with this object. And you can see that we can also get the URL of the doc that we're creating. And if you're familiar with Google products, you know that each one of these documents is going to have its own unique URL because they're generating brand new IDs. So we can select the doc object, and this is where the magic happens. This is where it's nice to work with the online interface, because you press dot and you're presented with all of these methods that are available. And the one that we want to get is, so there's get ID, so we can get the ID that's associated with the document, and we can also get the URL directly from the document object. So that's all available to us, as well as all of that amazing functionality and all those methods that are also available when we're selecting the doc. There's also, using the document object, we've got a bunch of additional methods such as get body. So this is going to get the active body of the document, so all of the content that's contained within the document. And then once we've got that into an object, we can either give it a variable name and store it as an object if we want to use it multiple times, or we can directly append a paragraph to that object. And you can see you can append a horizontal rule. So how about we append a horizontal rule, and then we'll also do get body, and then we can append paragraph. And that gives you the format of what parameters it's expecting. There's also table there as well. So in this case, it's expecting a string. So in this string, we can just type in hello world. So it's going to append first a horizontal rule, and then it's going to append a paragraph. And as mentioned, if you want to, you can set the body as an object, so that can clean up your code a bit. So instead of always writing that, you can select that. And that also goes for each one of these paragraphs that you're creating. So these are separate elements, or each one of these elements that you're creating. And then you could also reference these if you want to under an object format, and then you could update them and manipulate them as needed. But in this case, we're just going to stick with the body. So we're going to append a horizontal rule, then we're appending a paragraph. And also, let's log out the value of the URL. So logger, log, and URL. We could also get the ID as well. So that's another option. So if we want to get the doc, get. And as you can see, we've got all of these options here, and the one that we want to use is get ID. So that will get us the ID of that particular object, and you can log that out as well within the logger. So now we've got all of this stuff happening. Let's run the code and see what happens. So run the script. So selecting again the function that you want to run, going into our drive. So there's the new file that we just created. Open that up, and you can see that it added in that horizontal rule, and it also added in the hello world. So that's how easy it is to create a document. And you can also do the same thing with a spreadsheet. So let's create a brand new function in order to create another one in order to create a spreadsheet. And we'll do it the same way, where we're going to use the logger log to create a name using some JavaScript, and then get rid of all this stuff here. And in this case, what we want it to do is we want to create a spreadsheet. So let's start with the same format and creating an object that's going to contain the spreadsheet. And instead of DocumentApp, we're using SpreadsheetApp. So you guessed it, SpreadsheetApp is for spreadsheets, DocumentApp is for document. Makes sense, right? Next, create. And then we just need to specify a name of the file that we want to create. So there we go. So we can create that file, save that, and let's call this, we can call it second script. So if that makes sense. And now we've got two options here, and let's run second script. And again, we need to review permissions because we're operating as that user, and we need to be able to create and delete spreadsheets in your Google Drive, because we're creating a spreadsheet on the Google Drive. So give it a second to run, and there is our spreadsheet that we just created. So go ahead, try this out and create a spreadsheet, create a document, append some content into the body of your document, and then also you can use some of these available methods within the document app in order to get the URL and the ID. So go ahead, try that out.